Good day. Most of you know me. For those that don't, I'm Craig Aitchison. I'm the commander of Combat Training Center. And in that capacity, I'm the Army Individual Training Authority and responsible for all individual training in the Canadian Army. For those that do know me, I think you know that I'm pretty easygoing. I'm firm but fair. The principles of leadership still resonate with me today as much as when I learned them 25 years ago. And particularly the principle of leadership of knowing your soldiers and promoting their welfare. I also believe in standards and the application of standards, and in this case, there is but one. PO99 has been established in DP1 and leadership courses in order to give commanding officers tools to both teach and assess soldiers and leaders as it relates to conduct. This performance objective will also give commanding officers the authority to release soldiers from the Canadian Armed Forces for the most egregious of misconduct. I won't tolerate sexual misconduct of any kind. I appreciate the use of humor, especially wit, but I've become quite outspoken against off-color jokes and the inappropriate use of humor. I will also admit that I've had to recalibrate my own sense of what is funny and what is not. The Deschamps Report and the CDS's effort under Operation Honor have forced me to reflect on the impact of the use of humor and the impact of words. Words matter. Words hurt. And so we have to be precise in the use of language. We have to say what we mean and mean what we say.
As the commander said, words hurt, but even more, actions hurt. Actions such as intimidation, bullying, inappropriate touching, and invading somebody's privacy bubble, okay? It will not be tolerated. If you keep in mind that the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. So I urge all of you to have the moral courage to act. If you see anything wrong, we owe it to our soldiers to act. I have been in the Canadian Armed Forces for over 3 decades. And every morning, I just love putting on my uniform. It is the best part of my day. If you think any of the things here that we just discussed, it is all right for you to do, I would probably offer that you do not wear the same uniform as I do. There is no place for you in the Canadian Armed Forces, in the Combat Training Center, and in the training establishment.
So let me be absolutely clear. Sexual misconduct and sexual harassment has to stop. Stops here, stops with us. The commander of the Canadian Army has a very simple mantra: soldiers well-trained, well-led, and well-equipped. And we, in the individual training system, have a unique role in the ability to influence 2 of those 3 pillars. Clearly, we train our soldiers. We train them as they come in and do their basic training in DP1, and we can influence what it is that they see as being right or wrong. And we train our leaders, and we can train them to not only be able to train their own soldiers when they go back to the units in how to act, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, but we can also shape their understanding of what is and what isn't appropriate. The time for complacency is behind us. Any belief that sexual harassment or sexual misconduct has a place in today's Army is as misplaced as horse-drawn artillery pieces and water-cooled machine guns. Sexual predators, whether men or women, must be dealt with swiftly, directly, and unequivocally. I remember when the Deschamps Report was released. I was the director of the Army staff, and we sat down with our people to talk about the report and what it meant to the Canadian Army. And we spent quite a bit of time talking about what was and what wasn't appropriate, and where that line was. And one of my majors, a very bright major, made the comment that that line exists where it does between you and your 8-year-old daughter. And so if that becomes your litmus test when you go to tell a joke or respond to an opportunity to inject some humor that may be inappropriate, then that litmus test will probably lead to that self-censoring activity that avoids crossing that line. As a result of Operation Honor and the CDS's efforts to eliminate inappropriate sexual behavior, a light has been cast upon this subject. And we all know that darkness can't survive in the light, and so shine light on it we shall. Soldiers, leaders must act. We must take action to eliminate inappropriate sexual behaviors. Bystanders must act. Bystanders are key to this. And finally, followers must conduct themselves in accordance with our policies and our values. Sexual misconduct and sexual harassment come at a terrible cost to units. It affects morale, cohesion, and most of all, the dignity and the welfare of our soldiers. We have to come to grips with our understanding of what the impact of words and actions are on our soldiers. We have to develop an approach that will effectively deal with that in order to eradicate inappropriate sexual behavior from our Army. So take the time to consider our message. For this ethics period that's about to begin, think about how you want to contribute and even lead the conversation. Change starts with one person, and that's you.